College athletes across the country are under a lot of stress in order to perform successfully both on the field and off the field, while they are also generating millions of dollars for both the NCAA and their universities. This is why student athletes should be paid. First of all, we're going to start with what is a student athlete. A student athlete is a full-time job without any pay whatsoever. Also, while being asked to be a full-time student and perform the same as a regular student in the classroom, student athletes are required to go to multiple practices, go to class, be able to eat, and go to the weight room, as well as go to the film room and be able to sleep at least 8 hours a day, which is really hard. Can you fit all that in a day and still get at least 8 hours of sleep? No way. Student athletes and a payout. Aside from paying these students for their troubles, college athletic programs generate right under $10 billion annually from all put together from every university in the country for sports, including basketball, baseball, football, tennis, swimming, etc. Students who attend the college are granted free admission, and all that money that is being generated based off of the student athletes' performances and game ticket sales, because every college student attends those games, are over millions of dollars, and the student athlete does not get any of that money whatsoever. They do not get any of that revenue when they're the one risking injuries, have to miss class, which puts their academics under a lot of stress. According to Madison Martinez, she stated how athletes must miss class for games, which is tough for the academics. Also, according to NCAA.org, the average scholarship is typically less than $50,000 over the course of 4 years. If you put it together, the cost of tuition is usually about 20 grand a year. Throughout 4 years, you add it up, that doesn't cover all of their expenses for college. So people who usually state that don't usually know how the NCAA works, so they don't know how much money or how much tuition is covered for each and every athlete. Revenue created. College football and men's basketball become such huge commercial enterprises that together they generate more than $6 billion in annual revenue. That's more than the National Basketball Association, which is the NBA, and that's the pros. According to Joe Nogueira, $53.4 million were the combined salaries of D1 football coaches, while $0 is the combined salaries of all 13,877 Division I football players. How much money should be given to student athletes? The athletes should be paid in general. How much they should be paid has a lot of factors that have to play in. Which division they are, if they're D1, D2, D3, JUCO, or NAIA, what school and which sport, and how much money whichever sport that they play is generating for the college or university, which would also decide what the athletes would make annually for their production or season. A cut of that should be made and given to the salaries of that program. Cord Gaines and Mike Nodelman from Business Insider state the annual revenue by sport, in which college football averages more than $130 million annually for the NCAA, which is a lot of money that you see that goes to the schools, as I just stated earlier in the speech, that none of the players get at all. And they still have to perform well in the classroom other than normal students that don't have all that stress on their shoulders. Victoria Lee Blackstone states, of course some schools generate more sports-related revenue than others. For example, Duke, Syracuse, and UF are going to generate more money than smaller schools like Iowa or Kansas State or a JUCO like Miami-Dade College. Alex Kirshner stated how Baker Mayfield was denied a spring scholarship from Texas Tech and had to transfer. This shows you an example of how athletes don't always get a full ride. Baker Mayfield went to Texas Tech and he was denied a spring scholarship for football, so he had to transfer, and he eventually transferred to Oklahoma. When he transferred to Oklahoma, he had to walk on. That shows that if the coaches didn't like him, his football career would be over because he didn't have enough scholarship money, even though he was a great player. As you can see now, he plays for the Cleveland Browns and is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL as a rookie quarterback. Also, as you see here, Jameis Winston, it was a quarterback for FSU. He was criticized and followed by the media as a college athlete in which he wasn't paid anything at all. He was criticized like as if he was a professional athlete. How the paparazzi media is always following you on campus, off campus, even at your house, wherever you're going, and all the scandals that he had against him, even though he was still in college and still a normal teenager doing stupid things that teenagers do in college all the time. For example, drinking or stuff like that. Obviously, in the NFL, it's okay because you're a professional athlete and you're being paid for what you do, but he wasn't at all. And he still had to go through all that stress, even though he had no salary. He wasn't benefiting from it at all, but the school was benefiting from it. So, this is what we should do. We should petition students and athletes, and as well as coaches, should speak up to the NCAA in order and try and change this as soon as possible in the near future. If we don't change this in the future, maybe a lot of athletes that have the skill to make it to the pros won't be able to show their skills because they can't pay for school or they're from a bad neighborhood and their parents aren't able to afford college for them. So that's all. Do you have any questions?
So you're not saying that they should get paid, you're saying that their tuition should be paid and like their school expenses.
Yes. Mainly school should be paid for, since not every athlete is given a full ride. So that basically it would be considered paying them because you're paying them for their tuition. But since not every athlete is being paid full tuition, there should be more money involved with student athletes since they're generating all that money for the university. Any more questions? That's all? Alright, thank you guys.